So I was working with some clients today at the gym. I was just there, I'm just coming home. And I was thinking about the Super Bowl. And I was thinking specifically about the halftime show. And then I got to thinking about the Beatles. And I got to thinking about the Beatles. Like, there were people who thought the Beatles were the end of music as they knew it. And then I wondered, as those people got older and grew, what happened to them? And if we could learn anything at all from kind of our reactions, those of us who were over 50, to the Super Bowl halftime show, and what that might predict about how we age and what our future life is going to be like. Some sweet shoes. We're talking about the halftime show and people who liked it and didn't like it. And let's talk about the people maybe who just weren't feeling it, okay? The thing that I came up with, the first hurdle that they maybe had to overcome, was it just wasn't their music. And what do I mean by that? We all have emotional connections, well, most of us have emotional connections with music, and those emotional connections are tied to big milestones, okay? Maybe it's your first car, your high school graduation, or your college graduation, or your first job, or when you met your sweetheart. There are musical styles or musical eras that most people align with. For me, it was really the late 70s, early 80s kind of place that got me turned on to music. Think Joe Jackson, Elvis Costello, John Mellencamp, The Cure. Bands like that are kind of my musical sweet spot. And when we watch an artist or a group of artists and it's not our music, maybe it's just a little bit harder to get behind. And maybe that's one reason people just weren't really getting behind this year's Super Bowl show. Coffee. So the next thing that occurred to me about people who maybe weren't grooving on the Super Bowl halftime show, especially those people who were a little bit older like me, is it's not my protest. If you go back to the 60s and you think about Bob Dylan and Maggie's Farm, or the early 70s, the Isley Brothers, Fight the Power, or any number of songs by The Clash a little bit after that, or maybe Nirvana, or you pick the era, there's always going to be some type of protest music. And in a way, hip hop, what we saw at the Super Bowl, that is very definitely social commentary. There's stuff in there that speaks to a certain generation that is their reality. In a way, it just simply can't be my reality. I don't know that I'll ever have the emotional kind of connection that I had with The Clash and what they were doing. And when my daughter Daniela listens to that music, that falls on deaf ears because it's just not her protest. When Snoop and Dre and NWA and some of these other bands were kind of coming to popularity in the 90s, I was having my first child. I was newly married. Where I was such a different place than where they were, that they are not my people. The Super Bowl show, what was going on with the hip hop artists, the intensity, the power of the dancing, the vibe of the whole show was really, really powerful, but it wasn't necessarily my vibe. So where were we? I am here with my youngest daughter, Daniela, and you texted me during the game and you asked me, like, was I watching the halftime show? Why'd you do that?
I was with my friends and we were watching and we were all having such a great time enjoying the show. And I thought, oh, my dad would really like this.
So when you were watching the show, were you grooving on it? Did you think it was good? Did you think it was well done?
We all listen to that kind of music at parties, and so we were all having a great time. I think for a long time, rap music and hip hop has been kind of cast as the other. Hearing the music that I grew up listening to and that a lot of Americans grew up listening to, and it be celebrated and not, bleeped out on like it is on radios, that was powerful. Dr. Dre has been around for a long time. And there's a lot of, middle-aged people who love rap music and were probably enjoying it as well.
And now you know why I said I was lucky to have a 23-year-old daughter. Seriously. No, seriously. When my children were getting older and they were starting to listen to music, one of the things that I made an effort to do was to understand the music that they were listening to so we would have something to talk about and share. And I will admit to you, hip-hop was a really tough road for me. It took me a long time to feel good about listening to the music because there's a lot of stuff in there that takes some getting used to. A turning point for me, and I would really suggest you check this out if you haven't, Crazy Kanye West. We all know Kanye and Kim and that crazy guy. Well, his 2010 album, Dark Twisted Fantasy, it was Rolling Stone's Album of the Year in 2010 for a reason. It is a phenomenal piece of work. And yeah, there are a couple of songs in there that are a little and there's some language in there that's a little So if you go back and listen to the Rolling Stones, the lyrics from Sympathy for the Devil, you'll know why people were freaking out 50 years ago about the lyrics to that song, the way that they freak out today about hip-hop. I listen to things from, the jazz age all the way through today, Kendrick Lamar and Ariana Grande and, of course, Taylor Swift. And I think there's something to be taken from almost every musical genre if you're open to what is being said and where it's coming from. And for me, as I grow older, as someone who's over 50, nearing 60, hoping to get to 70 and 80, music and staying current with music and understanding where it's coming from is one of the ways that I want to stay engaged and active and be a part of this beautiful kaleidoscope of our frickin' lives.